What's up, YouTube, and welcome to the video of the games I picked up during the month of May 2017. I did quite a bit of travel this month, and that definitely paid off. I found a lot better stuff this month than I have in the last probably 2 to 3 months put together. So I've got a lot of things to show you today. Visited Little Rock, Arkansas, visited Kansas City, Missouri, and also Lawrence, Kansas. And just really did a lot of travel within my home state of Missouri this month too. So getting to go to some different game stores and junk stores and things like that really paid off with finding some stuff I wasn't able to find here in St. Louis. And also, another thing that helped me out with getting some unique items this month was a local collector is kind of starting to liquidate some of his very impressive collection. So that was a very nice find. A friend tipped me off that he was starting to sell off some of his stuff, and I just scratched the surface with things I wanted because he had so much cool stuff in his collection. So really nice to meet another fellow collector, and super impressive things to see with what all he had. So anyways, that all being said, let's go ahead and get started. I'm going to talk about some Sega games first. And the first one of these was a big one on my want list. I've been looking for this game for several months, and I actually got this from that local collector. And that is Master of Darkness for the European Sega Master System. This game did not get released in the US or Japan, but it did get released for the US Game Gear as Vampire Master of Darkness. So essentially the same game, but if you want to play this on a home TV, this is the easiest way to do it. Really great Castlevania 1 ripoff, essentially, is the best way to describe this game. It does have a lot of cheap deaths, which is kind of frustrating, but a lot of fun to play. It was developed by a kind of obscure game developer, Japanese game developer called Sims, but really enjoyed this game and happy I was able to add this to the collection. I'll probably be playing this quite a bit more, but I've already put a few hours into this to start off. I got a few games for the Genesis this month, and actually I think all of these are upgrades to complete copies. A few of these I found in random places. First one of these is not in mint condition by any means, but it is a complete copy of Comix Zone. I'm noticing these paper box Genesis games are just getting really hard to find nice ones, so I was happy just to even find one in acceptable condition, just as an upgrade for my loose cartridge I had. So nice to get that off my list. Next one I'm much more excited about as well is finally being able to complete my copy of Ristar. This was one I've totally pieced together bit by bit. First I had the cartridge, then I found the manual, and now I got the box. So putting all those pieces together, finally this is a complete copy and it's in nice condition. One I really wasn't looking forward to completing too much because I had kind of put it off my list was Time Killers, and this is a very late release Sega game. I think it came out in '96. It's a port of the arcade game, and it's also considered pretty bad, but I also think it just has its own charms just for being kind of a unique Genesis release late in its life. So another one I was able to complete this month, but really wasn't actively seeking it, so kind of nice to get that off my list as well. And then finally I got a upgrade to complete for this one also. This is Micro Machines, and it's a great port of this game. This came out on a lot of different systems, but I really do enjoy playing this game on the Genesis. So nice to get a very clean condition complete copy of this game as well. So next, as you know, I'm going to be talking about the PS1 because that's been my primary interest for pretty much the last year or so. This month was a goldmine for PS1 stuff. I don't know why. I stumbled on so many things that I'd really been looking for, but got a lot of things off my list that were pretty high up there. This first game I'm going to show you blows away everything else in this video as far as stuff that I really wanted. For those of you that have watched my prior videos, you know I'm chasing the complete Black Label jewel case variant of the big box game set. I'm currently 5 games away from that, and the one I got this month was probably one of the top 3 hardest ones to find. This I totally stumbled on in a store in Kansas City and paid very cheap price for this. I've been tracking this game on eBay for over 6 months, and there hasn't been a single one listed or sold. So this one definitely is very difficult to find. And this is the jewel case variant of Alien Trilogy. You can find a greatest hits version of this super easy, but if you want the Black Label version, you will hunt very hard for this, I guarantee it. The only letdown is the manual's a little bit water damaged, so if I ever get an upgrade of this, I will certainly buy it, but very happy to find this game. This was quite a challenge. I've been looking for this for a very long time, so super excited to get that off my list. Some other stuff I got for the PS1 is a game that I've been looking for a while and just always seem to find trashed copies of it, so I keep passing on them. But this was a very clean copy of the Street Fighter collection for PS1. I do have the Fighter's Edge version of this. If you've seen my Fighter's Edge video, you've seen that variant of this game, but I also wanted kind of the original pressing of this game too. So nice to get a clean copy of that, and very cool collection of Street Fighter games for the system. Speaking of Street Fighter, I also got the first pressing of Street Fighter Alpha 2, and this is another one. I had the Fighter's Edge version, but just really don't come across many of these too often in stores, so just decided to grab this while I was out. Next, I got one of the light gun games for the system, and this is a Konami light gun game that supports their Justifier gun. This is Crypt Killer. This one has a much more interesting Japanese name. I think it's something like... Oh, geez. No, I totally forgot. Edward something. Maybe I'm totally wrong. I don't know. Look it up, but it's a crazy Japanese title for the same release. So anyway, very cool light gun game, and enjoyed that one. Another game I always find trashed copies of and keep passing on. This one took a long time to find a somewhat clean version of, and that is the original pressing of Resident Evil Director's Cut. This is the one that has the Resident Evil 2 demo inside. This one got a few different re-releases, including like a Greatest Hits and like a variant of the Greatest Hits or something like that with DualShock support. But this is the actual true original pressing of this variant of the original Resident Evil. Yeah, Capcom definitely knows how to recycle their titles and milk them for all they're worth. A game that really wasn't high on my list, but I just decided to grab it was this one. It's Team Losi RC Racer. Don't really know much about this, but I like RC racing games, so maybe this one's worth playing. A game that seems to be starting to climb in price a little bit lately, and I'm noticing it's getting a little harder to find, is Typhoo, an Activision release 3D action game, I suppose. I haven't played it yet, but definitely noticed this one's getting a little tougher to get, so I decided to grab it. Another one that I don't see too often, it doesn't really go for a lot, is Dynasty Warriors. This was the original Dynasty Warriors, of which there's probably about 37 by now, and I thought it would be cool to see where the series started. I also got a clean copy of Spiderman II, and this was another one that I'm starting to see dry up a little bit, or at least around me. I got kind of an obscure Age Tech budget title. This was after they got rid of the A1 Games label and just started calling them Age Tech releases, and that is Extreme Go-Kart Racing. I'm sure it is super extreme to the max, so looking forward to checking that out. I got a clean copy of the original Blood Omen Legacy of Kain. This was another one that just, for some reason, you don't see as many copies of this anymore. And then finally I got a clean copy of Reloaded, a series I've never really played, but I have loaded, so I figured I might as well get the sequel to it as well. And then finally, for the PS1, I actually got a big box game, which I don't buy a whole lot of these. This was one of the big box exclusive releases, so I decided to grab it, and that is Zoop, which was probably the most ported game to the most quantity of systems for 1995 or 1996. This came out on just about everything, but didn't come out on the Saturn, and probably the PS1 version is at least the most advanced, or seems to be the most advanced version of this game. So never actually played much of Zoop, and decided to check it out. So that was all the PS1 stuff I got this month. I'm going to show you some portable stuff I got next. I really got a mix of portable games for a lot of different systems. First one of these is a super clean copy of Dynamite Headdy for the Sega Game Gear. Upgraded that to a nice complete copy, and it's sold by Loose One. Then I got a complete copy of Metal Slug First Mission for the Neo Geo Pocket Color. For some reason, I had never bought this game for the Neo Geo Pocket, and always wanted to try it out. I've got the second one, but I just never got this one, so definitely looking forward to trying this soon. Then I got a PSP game I hardly ever see just for some reason, and that is Kenka Bancho Badass Rumble. I think there's a whole series of these on the Japanese PSP, and maybe even some other systems like PS3, PS4, I don't know. But this is the only one we got in the US, so definitely interested in trying this out. It was developed by Spike, but Atlas brought it over to the US, of course, and has a pretty cool cover to it, so hoping that's pretty decent to play. Then I got some Nintendo portable games. First one of these is a original Game Boy release, and it's a very, very tough one to find. Stumbled on this at a store, was super happy to get this. This is Cool World. Not expecting much from this one, but this is, again, just a very difficult Game Boy game to find. And then I got some games for the DS, and all of these were complete. First one of these is Aliens Infestation. This one was not on my radar at all, but I found out it is a way forward release, and I was kind of interested in that based on that. And also that this was one of the last DS titles that was published in the US, so definitely looking forward to checking that one out. I got Astro Invaders. This is one of the few shooters on the system. I'm sure it's not very good, but I got it very cheap, so check it out. And then one I've heard other people talk about is this game. This is Barnard Blast. And this is apparently a Castlevania clone with a pig. So that is definitely a niche that needed to be filled, and the DS took care of that. So looking forward to seeing what that brings to the table. So that is all the actual games I got this month, and then now I'm going to show you some other just oddball things I picked up. I got a couple magazines from kind of the golden era of EGM, and both these are like 94, 95 era. This one is a Earthworm Jim 2, had a lot of good stuff inside of it. Actually enjoyed reading both of these. And the other one is for Super Street Fighter 2 Turbo, and a lot of things also of that era. So really enjoy reading vintage EGMs. A lot of those mid-90s ones are a very good era. Got a couple just common NES manuals. First one of these is Roger Rabbit, and the second one is for baseball. And then I got one box for the NES. I'm actually kind of ashamed I didn't have this because I'm such a Taito freak. But this is Rainbow Islands, and it's a good condition box and actually has the manual in it as well. I needed both. So very happy to add that to not only my Taito collection, but also my Bubble Bobble related collection that surprisingly I didn't have this. So happy to have that in the set. So that brings me to the last thing I got this month, and this is by far the weirdest thing I bought this month. I had no idea this thing existed, and frankly, if you play shooters on the 16-bit systems, you just don't even know what you're missing out if you don't have this in your collection. Are you ready for this? Okay. So, this is, in box, the Bishu Jet Fighter controller for the Sega Genesis, and it also is intended to work with the Super Nintendo. It had an accessory cable that allowed you to use it on both systems. So I got to show this controller off outside of the box, but I wanted to show you the box first. And yes, it is a big honkin' stealth bomber controller to play your shooters with. So it of course has, you know, your turbo auto fire type nonsense with it. It gets better, folks. The cockpit lights up with the red LED the whole time you're shooting. You need this in your collection, and you don't even know how bad you need this in your collection. It is, of course, compatible, like I said, with the Genesis and the Super Nintendo with the accessory cable, so it has a button layout that's kind of in between a Genesis and Super Nintendo controller. It looks like it would be super honkin' big and really uncomfortable, but actually it's pretty comfortable to hold. And it even has triggers on the back, which is kind of unusual. So definitely happy to have the Bishu Jet Fighter in my collection, even though I had no idea I needed this. So, yeah. So if you have this, I would love to hear a comment from you about your thoughts on this controller. It's not super high quality, but it definitely is a unique playing experience. So that about does it for all the stuff I got in the month of May 2017. Hopefully you enjoyed this video. Please take a moment, like, comment, subscribe. Let me know what you think in the comments below. And I will talk to you soon. Have a great day or night, wherever you are. And I will see you soon.